On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Men of other races don't look at women as competition.
Mm-hmm.
Every other group of men, when you put their best and brightest out front, they put the men up front. And in the black community, we got Stacey Abrams and folks like that. I'm sorry. Hillary Clinton learned a lesson. She was eminently more qualified as a politician. But white women made Donald Trump president because they understood. That's the reality. And that's the word. And that's the rules that's the rules the world is playing. And in my opinion, if the black community is going to move, we have to move into play what the world is playing. We like the bad is good, hot is cold, up is down, we're counterculture, such and so forth. Yeah, that may work in your house, but when you get out in the world, you got to play by the rules and then win by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so do you?
Okay, I got a question. And that's
Right.
That's it. Kevin.
I just have.
Okay, but that's it. Kevin,
Right.
Kevin, I got a question for you. For the past 3 weeks or so, we're talking about the black community, culture, and so forth.
Mhm.
One of the questions that was posed tonight is, I understand that like your channel, our channel, and a lot of others, we're pushing growth as far as just everyone. As people, what pushes us towards growth? Focusing on the community as a whole, or just the black community?
What pushes us towards growth individually? Oh, I mean, I'm trying to understand where the question is coming from.
Okay, so basically, I'm asking, if we're pushing growth, should we push growth as a whole community, or just focus on the black community?
Well, both. I mean, because you can grow in the black community, but you still gotta compete. How competitive are we? Because I've heard the back and forth a little bit, but the movies that we love, the great debaters and all these things, is back when HBCUs and that kind of stuff still made, when we got Thurgood Marshalls out, where TSU could go debate Harvard and Texas Southern could wipe the ground with them because Dr. Thomas Freeman was the philosophy teacher. Shout out to Dr. Freeman, rest your soul. But now what are we producing? If we're going towards, the black community needs an economy, and we need power. Just like any other group. We are not playing the same game other people are playing. Look at the LGBTQ community. They play the game of power. Look at a very small, I don't want to say the word because YouTube has a thing about this particular word, but the people over in this shared area with Palestine, they play a game of power.
But they stick together, right?
Well,
they do.
What comes first, though? They have a family structure first, and they also are united under their religion and the family structure. But when you have 6-year-old kids going to camp, they're going to the Torah, and then also in the financial camp at 6 in foreign languages. We have to think about competing. How are we competing? Because we can be a small unit, but if we're getting our ass kicked in the Olympics of life, then what? So we can have individual contributors. But the problem I see in the black community is when somebody decides to be Tiger Woods, we shun Tiger Woods. To where Dave Chappelle had to make a joke about getting him back, the racial draft. Because and I will say this, I was on when I was in college, we went from Public Enemy and X-Clan to gangster rap. And we didn't understand the damage that was happening to our community. So when we're sitting here and if there's it's like black people are really just supposed to be one-dimensional. You got to be street, a hood. Like we are not allowed full human expression. You're like Seven Dust. Anybody ever heard of Seven Dust? Living Color, the band?
Yes.
black rock and roll.
Yeah.
Why? So we have to keep our best and brightest and our talented. That means the people who may move differently, who may talk differently, have a different kind of different kind of cadence when they speak. We can't be calling them sellouts. We cannot afford to have a black brain drain. I've said this one day on a pro-black channel. There was a stat that 30% of black men who responded to this statistic, 30% of black men with bachelor's degrees who married, bachelor's or higher who married, were marrying out. And I asked, what are we going to do about that? You know, unanimously what the response was, I don't care what them sellouts are doing. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I was like, you don't want to know what 30% of your college educated are doing, and black men and black women across the board, I don't care what they sellouts are doing. I'm like, and that's a problem.
Yes, Kevin. Oh.
But we don't. But what we don't like to do is when we go ask those people why are you doing what they're doing, we want to reject their answers. We want to question, and they say, I don't do it because I was rejected. I was not welcome. There was no place for me. I was made to feel X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, all right, you want the black community to really thrive? You're gonna have to have a reclamation. You're gonna have to reclaim your black. You're gonna have to reclaim your black talent, and we need black male media. We need a black economy with a patriarchy.
Yeah,
we're the only community that has a matriarchy, and coincidentally, where are we as a community ranked?
no, I totally agree.
Kevin, I'm so glad. I'm glad you said it, Kevin. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad.
Now, see, when the game, here's the thing: the game of power. It's always about winning. And it doesn't matter if it's power chess, power tiddlywinks, power monopoly, power slide. People who want to be competitive will always draw the best. A players want to be with A players. Even if they're just getting together on like the Dream Team in 1992. Some of those guys were they were competitors. Some of those guys couldn't stand one another, but they love playing together. We have to keep our talent. And in particular, we have to keep our talented black men, because we don't have a patriarchy. Like it or not, black women, hear me and hear me well. As incredible as a lot of you ladies, we're proud. So men of other races don't look at women as competition.
Mm-hmm.
Every other group of men, when you put their best and brightest out front, they put the men up front. And in the black community, we got Stacey Abrams and folks like that. I'm sorry. Hillary Clinton learned a lesson. She was eminently more qualified as a politician. But white women made Donald Trump president because they understood. That's the reality. And that's the word. And that's the rules the world is playing. And in my opinion, if the black community is going to move, we have to move into play what the world is playing. We like the bad is good, hot is cold, up is down, we're counterculture, and such and so forth. Yeah, that may work in your house, but when you get out in the world, you got to play by the rules and then win by the rules.
Mm-hmm.